Conflict of Interest Act is a sad joke because of huge loopholes in the law. It doesn't apply to 99% of the decisions and actions of the most powerful people in the government. The Conflict of Interest Act really should be called the almost impossible to be in a Conflict of Interest Act. The Conflict of Interest Act, which covers cabinet ministers, their staff, and top government officials, does not prevent, prohibit, or penalize conflicts of interest. The Act is so full of loopholes that allow powerful politicians and public officials in the federal government to have secret investments, to secretly participate in decisions when they have a clear financial conflict of interest, and to secretly profit financially from their decisions. The Act is weaker than the rules for senators and federal government employees, and as weak as the rules for backbench MPs, which makes no sense at all. It is simply perverse that the most powerful politicians and office holders in Canada's federal government have much weaker ethics requirements and standards than the least powerful public servants. If you support the Act in its current form or with these weak amendments, you support protecting private interests, you support politicians and public officials profiting financially from their decisions, and you support unethical and corrupt policymaking, all of which violates the public interest. The Act only applies 1% of the time to very specific decisions. As a result, it's almost impossible to be in a conflict of interest. Preventing conflicts of interest is paramount because if you don't, you are allowing private interest to trump the public interest and you are allowing corruption. The Supreme Court of Canada has said if a Conflict of Interest Act and other similar laws are not enforced strictly and strongly, we are not a democracy. Conservative MPs and Bloc MPs, you're asking some good questions, better questions about the Act than have been asked by MPs at this committee in the past 20 years. But you are still missing some key loopholes and flaws and not cutting through the obscurities and misleading haze about the Act that the Ethics Commissioner Conrad von Finkenstein creates whenever he talks about the Act. Hopefully, Liberal MPs on this committee, you will set aside your talking points and prepared questions that the Cabinet and Research Bureau have prepared for you and actually listen and think about the seriously unethical, undemocratic and bad government actions that are currently legal.
I have a very concern the way Mr. Duffy spoke in the beginning when he said the Liberals should not be looking at the points. Why are you picking on one party when there are members of the other parties are sitting here? It seems to you have a very biased opinion before even you start as a witness.
Need a quick response to that, Mr. Connor.
I watched the first two hearings and saw the questions asked by the various sides, and that's why I expressed what I expressed, hoping that you will open your minds to the fact that this Act currently allows unethical, corrupt behavior. And if you support it the way it is now, you are supporting that that should be allowed.